Good morning, everybody. I think we are live. Carolyn, could you just make sure that my head isn't cut off? I don't think it is, but anyway. Oh no! You see, it's not me. It is off. It is off.
It is not off. I'm turning it off now.
I specifically turned it off.
Your head's fine.
What can I tell you? What can I say? I fiddled with that little button and it said mute to me. Right. All right. Good morning, everybody. Yes, I just said to Alan and Carolyn, let's not worry if we get muddled up with the questions because we do sometimes, or if things happen and we get a bit discombobulated. It is a live show, and there we are. That we got within seconds we got discombobulated. So I'm just going to shift myself just a bit into the corner there. There we are. That's better. And so first of all, I'd like to say good morning to Gregor, who's standing by my side, wondering, probably is laughing at me, wondering what on earth are we doing this morning, because we're not settled yet. I would also like to say good morning to Carolyn, to my far right.
Good morning.
Good morning, Carolyn. And of course, to my darling Al. Al, are you there in Colorado? Can you hear me?
I can. Good morning.
Is there anybody there? I always like saying that. Everybody thinks that people like me say that, you know, is there anybody there? And there is. How are you, Al, today?
I'm doing well. It's
good. Have you had a good week, a bad week, or what sort of a week?
A good week. Busy, but good.
Good. What about you, Carolyn?
Oh, I had a good weekend.
Have you had a good week? You've been here.
Yes.
Well, you were
Just
here
one
yesterday.
day,
Yeah. Carolyn's car broke down on Tuesday.
Yes.
On the way to work. So I got this frantic phone call. I'm stuck on whatever road that was. What did you say to me? She said, did you say I've got my pepper spray?
Yes.
It's like, because, you know, the road that she's on is sort of a little bit out of the way. And being a lady in a car on your own, you never know. So she was good for you. You were she was armed with a pepper spray and all of that other stuff. Isn't it awful that we have to do that? But we do. So, all right. So what are we going to talk about today? I know we've got quite a few questions. I would specifically, first, before we get going, I'd like to say a special hi to Jan and to Bob. I got to know Jan and Bob. Actually, I think they came for a consult a long time ago, and they've taken us out to lunch and what have you. And they are the loveliest and the nicest people you could wish to meet. And Jan is struggling right now. So, darling, if I know that you're not watching this, but if somebody can record it and let you see it, she's in hospital right now. We are sending lots and lots of love and healing to you, my lovely. And I'm asking very, very specially for healing to be sent to you. Also, thank you to your sister-in-law, Cindy, who wrote to us to tell us what was going on. And so thank you, Cindy. I would also very, very specifically like to mention Lorna. I'm not going to tell everybody what's going on with Lorna because that's private between Lorna and myself. Lorna, I did get your email. I don't know if you're watching or not, sweetheart, but I did get your email. And my heart goes out to you in the situation, in the circumstances that you are in. If I can just tell you, and this comes from Great Eagle because I already asked before we came on the show, he is safe and he is okay. And yes, you will see him again one day. But in the meantime, I absolutely know that he would want you to live your life the best way you can, to smile every day for him if you can. I know it's hard, sweetheart. I know how tough it is. But if you could smile every day for him and try your best to live your life in a happy way as possible. Don't you hate it when people tell you those things? Because why do you want to be happy when such a tragedy has befallen you? But for him, try if you can and keep smiling if you can, even through your tears. Keep smiling if you can. My heart goes out to you, and yes, we will be writing to you. So that those two little things are my messages for this morning, very specific and very special messages this morning. My grandson's birthday is coming up. When is the 12th? Is that next week or the week after? I'm not sure. Next week. And he will be 6 years old. How did he get to be 6 years old? I'm very, very sad about it in one way, because it will be the first time since he's been born that I wasn't there on his birthday. But unfortunately, because, you know, I'm still sick and I dare not get on a plane, and we haven't told him yet that I'm not coming. But having said that, they're coming here to Florida the following week for a whole week. So we're going to have 2 birthdays. So he's already excited because he's already put in his order for his birthday cake and various other things as well. So I'm excited that he's coming. I'm very, very sad that I can't be there, but I'm very excited that he's coming. I do know that there are lots of grandparents out there and maybe even parents out there who can't be with their children or with their grandchildren on their birthdays or special occasions or Christmas. And I know how lucky I am. So I'm not moaning and complaining. I'm just saying I'm really, really sad that I can't be there on the day. But anyway, birthdays are special. I'm rambling. Al, can you see a really great question there that we can start off with?
I see a few really great questions. I'll start out with the first one.
Okay.
We have Albertine.
Good morning, Albertine.
She says, hello, Rosemary. Sometimes you can be out of balance. Can the spirit world see that too and help to come back into balance?
Well, we all can be out of balance. And in fact, we can be in balance at some parts of the day and out of balance at other parts of the day. Yes, of course, the spirit world can see these things and certainly can help us, but it's up to us to, you know, to sort of to learn to center ourselves, to become more in tune with ourselves and to balance ourselves. I mean, if you know that you're out of balance or you're out of whack, it's probably in that moment, it's probably really hard to do the things that you need to do to get back in balance, because the reasons that we're out of balance are often that we are distressed or we're stressed or what have you. So, you know, so it's hard to sit down. Meditation, of course, works. But, you know, just learning to center yourself, to understand that whatever trauma or tragedy is going on in your life, it's a momentary thing, because life itself is a momentary thing. Life itself is a blink of an eye. And to try to sort of center yourself and to stay calm. And of course, when we do that, our loved ones in the spirit world certainly gather around and will help us. But if we're not helping ourselves, there's not a lot that they can do for us. So we have to begin by helping ourselves. But a great question, Albertine. Thank you. Carolyn.
We have Mary.
Good morning, Mary.
Which of Rosemary's books have had the most input by Grey Eagle?
Oh,
And
golly.
Rosemary,
Yes.
my brothers and sisters are grieving over our mom's death. Is there any advice from the spirit world for them?
That's just, you snuck in 2 questions. Sneaked, I don't know. Anyway, snuck works. All right. Let's answer the first question. Which book has had the most impact?
Input.
Input from Grey Eagle. I don't write without him, so it's hard to say. So all of them, I think. Certainly practical input and deep conversations, and a huge learning curve for me and a big teaching experience which Grey Eagle gave to me was certainly soul signs, because I'd never heard of it before. I'd never heard of the fact that, you know, souls are created with different types of energy into different pockets of energy, let's say. So that certainly that book had a huge input from Grey Eagle. All of the books do, because when I'm writing, I'm listening, and I'm listening to him, and I'm being guided by him, and I'm being advised by him. When we publish the Grey Eagle Speaks book, I would say that's probably going to be the most input, because it really is not about my opinions at all. My opinions don't come into it, except my opinion is that it's the most beautiful and spiritual and poetic work and inspiring, and it's a formidable book because it talks about, Grey Eagle talks about every aspect of human life, our human life here on this earth, and every aspect of the spiritual world also. So it's a very impactful book. A friend of mine, having read it, actually said it's like sort of binging on the most delicious dark chocolate. Of course, dark chocolate's my favorite, as probably you all know. It's like binging on the most delicious chocolate, and you just read more and more, and you binge more and more. That's how that book is. If we can come to the, do excuse my coughing once again, everybody. If we come to the question of your mother and your mother's passing and how you can help your brothers and sisters, my suggestion is give them each a copy of The Eagle and the Rose, because that will, without a doubt, that opens people's eyes, and it gives tremendous, tremendous comfort. But if you can just reassure them, I'm sure you know already, Mary, because you're here and you're watching this show, so you know that your mother is safe and well. But knowing it, believing it, and have it confirmed are the two different things. So actually, Greg has put his hand on my shoulder and is confirming that everything as is as it should be, that your loved ones in the spirit world are safe and well. And I would have not gone this far, but he's going this far, and they're all together. So isn't that lovely? They're all together in the spirit world watching all of you. Al, let's have another question.
We have Connie here.
Excuse me, but I just need to set one of these. Sorry.
So Connie asks, does the spirit world know if a family member is going to pass before us earthly beings do?
It's a great question, Connie. Good morning. Absolutely. The spirit world will know way before we do, often a long time before we do. But what is the most interesting that I find is that they are all prepared. You know, they start to draw close. And it's also very interesting because many of us, just prior to our passing, we will have these feelings or this sense. How many times, for instance, do someone passes and you suddenly find all their will has just been taken care of, their drawers are all sorted out neatly, all their paperwork is in order. It's almost as if they knew. And in some sense, our soul does know, because our loved ones in the spirit world are preparing us in a very gentle way, so that when we pass, it's not a, wow, didn't know that was going to happen. So we're all prepared in our own way. And some of us hear and sense these things more than others. I do have a little story to tell on that, in that regard. I might have told this story before, about a young man. He'd been away from his family for a long time, and he came home for a visit. And of course, all his friends came. They had a big party. Everybody gathered around. It was very, very exciting that, that he'd finally come home. And one day he took his friends. They all went for a car ride, and he and his friends, he said, I just want to go to this one spot. And it was a beauty spot close to where they lived. So they pulled the car into the side of the road, and everybody, all his pals climbed out. And standing on this spot, you could look out over the valley, and you could look out across some beautiful scenery and so on. And this young man said, isn't this the most perfect spot to die? If you had to die, wouldn't this be the most perfect spot? And nobody thought much of it, because it was that kind of a place. It sort of did leave you spiritually moved. However, the next week he was riding his motorbike, and a car came around the corner too fast, and he died in that exact same spot. And people still say today they think he must have known. So we are prepared. But yes, our loved ones in the spirit world, I mean, whereas if we know someone's going to die, it's a very sad occasion. When they know that we're coming, it's almost like, yay, let's get the party started, because it's so exciting, because they're going to now be reunited with that person who is coming to them and going to be arriving home, and furthermore being brought to them by their angels. I mean, wow, isn't that lovely to think? Ow. I'm going to start sucking, so excuse me, but if I don't start sucking, I'm going to start coughing. So
Sharon asks, did you ever check into the story of the black top hat man?
No.
Okay.
I answered that, yeah.
I have to tell you, to my shame, to my very great shame, I'm going to be very honest with you, I forgot all about it. After the show, we got really busy doing something or another, and then really busy doing something else. Sorry, and I forgot all about it. Sorry about that. But good question. I feel as if someone's holding my feet to the fire. Maybe I should now go away and check it out. We'll see. Carolyn.
Twiggy Leaf asks,
Good morning, Twiggy.
Are our angels the same age as us? Were they made for us specifically, or did they exist before us and get assigned to us?
Great question. I have no idea. I'm asking Grey Eagle, and he's telling me they were assigned. They're not. I don't think age is a funny thing, so I don't think they're younger than us by any means. I think there are varying ages if we're going to go there, but no, I think that our angels are assigned to us. Remember that angels are messengers from God, so they only do God's bidding. As much as we would like them to do ours all the time, they don't. They do God's bidding. If we ask for something from our angels or input from our angels, and God thinks that that's an okay thing, then of course they're willing to do that. But an angel is a messenger of God and from God, purely and simply. But what a great question. That was a very thoughtful question. I do apologize for sucking and making noises. Go ahead. It's got to be so rude of me, but anyway, there we are.
Yeah, Twiggy had a follow-up question. What's your favorite color? And what is Grey Eagle's favorite color?
And then she laughed and said, don't say it's gray unless it really is.
Yeah.
I can tell you my favorite color. Excuse me. My daughter has green eyes. My grandson has beautiful, well, they both have beautiful green eyes. I have green eyes. When I look into my grandson's eyes, they are my own. When I look into my daughter's eyes, they are my own. So the color green has to be my favorite color. But there are tremendous and varying shades of every color under the spectrum. So kind of a nice, rich, lovely, mossy green is my favorite color. And Grey Eagle, I'm asking him, he's just laughing at me, so I'm not sure you're going to get anything from him at all. Blue for healing. There you have it. I don't think it's necessarily his favorite color, but he's giving you a color which he does like, which is blue for healing. And there's a reason behind the fact that he likes that color. He's laughing. His eyes are sparkling. Go ahead. Al.
So we have Sarah.
Morning, Sarah.
She says, good morning, all. On Valentine's Day, it will be exactly 1 year ago since my husband unexpectedly died. I would like to plant a tree in his honor. Do you think he likes that? Can you advise me what tree?
Right, I'll tell you another little story, a personal story. When my father died, it was very unexpected, although it turned out that it actually wasn't, but he knew, but he didn't tell anybody else. But he died seemingly very suddenly of a massive heart attack. His heart did give out on him. At that time, I had a beautiful garden, which I loved. And I decided that I would buy my father a tree, plant a tree in my father's honor. That tree was a it was a cherry tree, cherry blossom tree. It's called a malus, M-A-L-U-S, a malus cherry tree, which has a dark, almost sort of russet colored bark, and sort of a deep, beautiful, deep pinkish, reddish blossoms. Now that tree was a little sapling when I put it in. Now, if it's still growing, when I left the house, it was a huge thing. So remember, if you're planting a tree, you've got to give it space to grow, right? But I love that tree. And every time I think of the malus, I think of my father. I used to often, when I sort of tended it or weeded around it, I used to grow flowers around. I used to grow snapdragons around the base of the tree. And every time I tended it, or every time I went by, every time the breeze blew and the blossoms fell from the tree, I would think of my father. It's a lovely thing to do. And I know that my father really appreciated it because he loved that tree too. And these things sort of remind you. I know a lot of people grow roses. A lot of people put in plants. It's a lovely thing to do. Unfortunately, I don't know where in the world you are. If you're in England, I'm going to say get a malus, get a cherry tree. If you're in a climate where, if you're in Canada, for instance, in Toronto or somewhere, and do the same thing, it's your choice. Go into a garden centre or look through a nice book and see what calls to you. And then when you go and buy it, make sure that it grows in your climate. But what a lovely, lovely, lovely thing to do. Karen.
Miguel asks,
good morning, Miguel.
how do we know if we have messages from the other side?
Listening is a good way. Tuning in, being attuned to your loved ones, paying attention. Our loved ones in the spirit world will often send us little messages, or even little apports if you're lucky. A penny or a feather or something or another. If they're sending messages, then it's up to us to listen and pay attention. So paying attention is a good way to start, Miguel.
That just reminds me, remember after the show last week when I said to you during the show while you were talking to somebody's dad, all of a sudden I started smelling a cigarette really strong.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that? That was and there's no cigarette smoke in this house whatsoever.
No, nobody smokes in this house. No. After last week's show, I'd been talking to a man in the spirit world his daughter asked a question, and I saw him standing there, and Carolyn said to me afterwards, when you were talking to that man, she said, I got this really, really strong smell of cigarette smoke. So you don't just pay attention to what you're hearing, you pay attention to every one of your five senses. We are going to be talking about the five senses and how we can develop the five senses when we do our online classes. And am I right in saying, Anne, you can sign up now because online classes are starting in April? Is that, in March? Sorry.
Correct. We do have to send the link out though, Rosemary. Yeah.
Right. We're going to send a link out to you. If you want to know more about the online classes, then our email is rosemary@rosemaryaLtea.com, and we'll send you a link, and you can sign up. So you can sign up as soon as you get the link. You need to sign up before the class starts. We're hoping for March 14th, right, Al?
Correct. Yep.
So the first class we're hoping is March 14th, unless you get a notification. Otherwise, this coming March 14th, so that's just over a month. So you need to sign up and get all your stuff together ready before that, so that on the 14th you're all signed up and you're allowed in. If you're not signed up and you haven't paid your fee, you're not allowed in. And before everybody says, oh, that's not fair, it's not up to us. Al, is it? We have a company who are doing this for us, and so we have to go by their rules. Otherwise, we have to build a whole new office and get 6 new people to run it, which we're not going to do, because then you'd have to pay way more for your online classes. So let's move on. Who's going to ask the next question? Al.
So we have Melinda.
Who?
Melinda.
Melinda. Good morning, Melinda.
She says, it's taken me a while to ask this. I had 2 friends, Sonia and Linda, that were murdered, and I wonder if they got stuck here due to how they passed. Are they on the other side?
This is a question for Grey Eagle, Melinda. And before I even go there, let me just say how awful this must be for you. And, you know, my heart goes out because I know how, you know, this is how awful this must be. And I can also understand why it's taking you so long to ask the question, because what if I were to say that they were stuck? I mean, would you really want to know that? Would you really want to know that? If they were stuck, and I've not asked Grey Eagle yet, he's going to address this in a minute. If for any reason that they are stuck, or if anyone out there is worried that their loved ones are stuck, and Grey Eagle agrees that they are, then I'm going to say that Grey Eagle and I will work to ensure that these people are not stuck for much longer. We will help them to cross that void. So I'm asking Grey Eagle now, and the answer to your question is that they have, I'll give you Grey Eagle's words, they have both have arrived safely. This must have been a little while ago. They arrived safely. They are well and happy. His words are they are adjusting. So thank you, Melinda, for asking that question. I know it's a difficult one for you. You know, I think they're fine. In fact, according to Grey Eagle, I know they're fine. So try, if you can, to get on with your life a little bit and try not to worry too much about them. I'm sure they're doing really, really well. I just got a glimpse of something in the room. I have 2 lovely ladies waving at you. So there you have it. So they're fine. That was unexpected too. I didn't expect to see anything, and I wasn't even looking for it. Just caught a glimpse out of the corner of my eye, and they're both laughing. Let's move on to our next question. Carolyn.
Terry writes in.
Good morning, Carrie.
Terry.
Oh, Terry. Good morning. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
She says, I tested EVP, which is electronic voice phenomena, yesterday, and I believe my son said mom. So I just got up and Googled that. That's that handheld. You're supposed to get a message from the spirit world through this handheld.
I've never heard of it. I can't comment on it. I would advise people to be very cautious when believing something like that. It might just be a gadget that everybody wants, and it's a marketing thing, and it's a selling thing, and somebody's going to make a lot of money on it. So just be careful with that. Who is this person?
Terry, and she lost her son.
But I remember. But Terry, I can assure you that he is calling out to you often, and he's there with you on a daily basis. With or without the little machine, he's shouting "Mom" all the time to you. So in whatever way you can hear him. But be very careful about these gadgets, my darling, because I don't know anything about this. I can't give it an A+, and I can't give it a Z-. I don't know anything about it. But just be cautious. That's all I can say. Al, next question.
Just a follow-up question for that, Rosemary.
Yes.
Is it necessarily the gadget, or is it the belief that the gadget works that makes it almost?
Well, I've seen gadgets before like this. As I say, I'm loath to give an opinion because on the one hand, you know, part of me wants to dismiss it. But on the other hand, I don't want I don't want to dismiss it. The truth of the matter is that you can make anything sound like anything at all. But I don't want to take away from the experience that Terry has had. And so it might be that Terry was listening and her son was helping him to hear that word. So there are a lot of fors and against with it. Years and years ago, before electronic devices, all the electronic devices that we have now, it was very common to use a trumpet. And a trumpet is sort of like a long cone-shaped thing. And, you know, mediums would place it if, you know, they would have seances or groups or meetings or what have you. Hello, my darling. That's my puppy. So they would have these trumpets. They'd place it, you know, somewhere. And the idea was that the spirit world could use their energy and use the trumpet to make sounds. People said it worked. I have never experienced anything like that because I've never had a need, because I can hear perfectly well without those things. I just would say just be cautious. We're treading on sort of dangerous ground here because I have seen, you know, we've had people when we've done ghost hunts and so on, and people have come in with their electronic devices and so on and so forth. And the truth of the matter is you can make any electronic gadget do anything and say anything or sound like anything at all that you want it to do, which is simply why I'm just saying be skeptical and stay open-minded about it. That's what I'm saying.
And Terry did write in. She says, I believe I hear him without any device too.
So great. And I think you do too. So my question to you is, why are you using the device then? Because if you put something in between you and the spirit world, like some electronic tool, if you learn to develop your own sense and your own sensitivity, if you learn to develop your, you know, the experiences, learn to listen to your soul, learn to listen to the heartbeat of your soul, learn to listen to the voice of your soul, and sort of connect, raise your level of consciousness and connect in that way, then what you're hearing and seeing and sensing is going to be way more than you'll ever get with any electronic device, as far as I know. Just they may have yesterday developed this incredible thing that enables us somehow or another. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Then you wouldn't need somebody like me, and we could all do it. Wouldn't that be wonderful if somebody could come up with something that actually did honestly and truthfully put us in tune with the spirit world? Maybe one day that will happen. As far as I know, it hasn't happened yet. Al.
So we have Jeanette. I should let Carolyn ask this question regarding soul signs. Are you then born with certain soul types to fulfill your life's purpose?
Yes. Yeah. I ask the question again, Carolyn. Ask the question, because Carolyn is the soul signs guru.
What do I have sitting right here that I was thumbing through before we started the show?
Were you?
Yes.
Ta-da! This is, look, can you see all the sticky bits? I mean, I'll show you the back as well. This is one well-worn book, the soul signs. That Carolyn, it is your Bible. You do take it wherever she goes. She takes it with her.
How long did it take me to answer you when you asked me what soul sign my mother-in-law was the other day?
Yeah, we were talking about Carolyn's lovely mother-in-law, who, if she's watching or if she does watch this at any point, thank you for my mole. Yeah. Thank you, darling. That was so nice of you in the Spanish rice. Carolyn's mother-in-law sent me delicious food for me to try. And I just happened to say yesterday to Carolyn, so what soul sign is your mother-in-law? Because to us, we talk soul signs all the time. It is part of our everyday lives, isn't it? I mean, that's what we do. We want to know who somebody is and we want to understand them better. We go to soul sign. Like I said, what soul sign? She didn't even have to think about it because she'd already done it, because isn't it is second nature to you, right? To go there.
Yes.
What was the question again?
You asked me what soul type is she? What soul sign is she?
Yeah, but
oh, my answer was the same as you.
Yeah, the same as me.
Yes.
And luckily, Carolyn is a water sign, so they are compatible. And I would say that that's good, right? An earth sign and a water sign. perfectly compatible. No, I meant the young Terry. No, who was it? Al, who asked the question?
Jeanette.
Yes.
Jeanette Nettie. Yeah. All right. So what is it then?
Are you then born with certain soul types to fulfill your life's purpose?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that question.
You are who you are. You will always be that. No matter how many lifetimes you might live, and no matter where you might live them, you are what you are. I am a warrior. I am an earth sign, and I will always be so, no matter what. It will never change, because that is the energy that my soul is created from, and it will never change. It might grow, it might diminish. I'm hoping I shall improve, but my characteristics and my energy, some of my characteristics I will improve upon, and some I will enhance, and some I will try to temper a little bit, because that's what we're here for, to learn and grow. But I am who I am, and I will never be different than that. Carolyn is a water sign. What are you? A peace. She's a peacemaker. Is she ever a peacemaker? She will always be that peacemaker, as frustrating as it might be sometimes. I'm sure sometimes you don't want to be, do you?
No.
Water signs do not want to be the compromisers, but they will be forever and ever, and that is who they are, and they will never change. And being who they are will help them towards their goals, which are learning, growing, becoming more of who you are. Al, let's have another question.
Teresa says,
good morning, Teresa.
I just read Proud Spirit. Question, can we upset spirit family with our actions on earth?
Can we do what?
Can we upset spirit family with our actions on earth?
I'm not quite sure what she means.
I think, if we do something that, can we do something that will upset the spirit world, essentially, or
yes,
spirit family?
All the time. All the time. But we're human. Of course we're going to do things that they don't like. We're going to say things that they don't like. I can remember so many years ago now, with my team in England, and the spirit world came to talk to us. We were sitting there in class, and our lovely little old lady with no teeth came along, and she literally went to every person and she said, I saw you last Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning. I saw you screaming at your children because they hadn't done, and whatever it was they hadn't done. And she was very specific. I saw you screaming at them, and we didn't like it. And there was no judgment or condemnation. It was a simple fact. And she was talking about the children in the spirit world, and the children in the spirit world who watch us. And we saw you, and we didn't like it. And then, she mentioned, she went to every person and mentioned something that they might want to improve upon. I saw you at so-and-so doing such and such, and we didn't like it. But then there were things that she also said, we saw you giving food to that person, and we were pleased, we were proud. So they see all. There's, as far as I've never ever come across anyone in the spirit world who will condemn us for our awful actions, or our horrible screaming sometimes, or our losing our temper, or when we're mean sometimes, or whatever it is we are that they might not like, or if we've fallen out with our family, or all those human things that we do. I've never heard or seen anyone in the spirit world who has judged us harshly, but simply observed and said, we didn't like it. They're not saying you're a bad person. They're saying, we don't like you when you're like that. Maybe they're hoping that we'll improve by them having a non-judgment, but simply an opinion of our bad behavior. it's scary when you think about it. I can remember the first time I realized, I've told you this before, the first time I realized how much the spirit world could see and hear. I started using bubble bath in my bath water, and people think I'm joking when I say it, but I'm not. The truth of the matter is that nobody in the spirit world cares that I'm naked in the shower or that I'm naked in the bath. Nobody cares. It's simply an awareness that came over me, an awareness that many of us do have once we realize how clearly and how closely the spirit world does watch us and how much they can see and hear of us. Al, I'd like you to say a little something about this, because we were talking the other day about there's a reporter. She's still reporting, but is now freelance. But I think she worked for the New York Times for 25 years or 30 years or something like that. Very prestigious person. And she wrote a piece on me. She came to the house completely skeptical. We're going to let you all have the link to her article. And it's really worth reading. It's a long time ago now. But the thing that convinced her more than anything else, I think, was that she'd lost her husband. We didn't know anything about it before she came. But anyway, it turned out she'd lost her husband. But I think the turning point for her from being utterly and completely skeptical to that sudden epiphany, what did you say, was when I repeated a conversation that she and her 10-year-old daughter had that morning in the bathroom. The daughter was being a bit naughty and not wanting to do something or another. And her husband in the spirit world gave me the conversation verbatim, what the daughter had said to her, what she'd said to the daughter in the conclusion or non-conclusion of the conversation, verbatim. And it shocked her, because she thought that she and her daughter were in the bathroom just having an argument, just the two of them, and nobody else would ever know about it. It was just something that went on between the two of them, which happens all the time with all mothers, all fathers, all of us. It happens with all of us. We have conversations with someone, and it never crosses our mind that we are being watched by a higher power, which is quite scary, really. It's a little bit like the big brother is watching you sort of thing, but they're not watching us with any judgment. They're simply, and with Elaine Lewis' husband, he was simply wanting her to know, I see you. I haven't left you. I'm still with you, and I'm still trying to help you, and I'm still trying to help our daughter too. Al, what did you think when you read that article?
It was pretty amazing, because you have, my dog is barking in the background, sorry. You have, based on what you told me and what was in the article, she was so dead set against any possibility of this.
Yes.
And you always say people, the spirit world kind of tells people what they need to hear. And she needed something very specific.
She did, yeah.
And after that, I mean, you said a few more things about the comic. I think he wrote comic strips, the husband too, and I think
he was a very famous cartoonist.
Yeah, yeah.
But you do understand that when this lady came to me, we didn't even know it was her coming, and she's a tough, hardened New York Times reporter, very well respected in her field, and the idea was that the New York Times sent this tough reporter to prove that people like Liz Smith, very famous columnist Liz Smith, people, all sorts of people, famous people, were talking about this weird woman, this weird English woman who suddenly landed in New York City doing all this stuff. So the New York Times thought, we're going to investigate this, and we're going to show that this isn't real. And
Rosemary, can you share the other piece, how she talked to you after, and then the reactions of the people at?
Well, she did. She called me afterwards, and she's a lovely person. I've never seen anyone cry so much. And Elaine, if you ever happen to listen to this, I do love you, and I do thank you, because I know that what Elaine did in writing that New York article for me, or not for me, for the paper, was huge. It was huge for her because she called me afterwards and she said, Rosemary, I'm not quite sure what to do. I'm in a quandary. And I said, well, let me, let me help you if I can. And she said, well, here's the thing. She said, I am a tough reporter. I have a reputation. And she said, and I have to work with my peers, most of whom are men. So I'm a successful reporter in a man's world. And she said, and if I write what really happened, my reputation will be gone. She said, they'll all think I'm, crazy, I'm nuts or what have you. So she said, so I just feel that I can't write the real truth of it. And she was not asking my opinion. She was simply saying, I'm really sorry. So she said, she said to me, I just don't know what to do. So I said, well, here's the thing, Elaine. I said, you, out of so many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, have been given an opportunity. You had your husband talking to you yesterday, and he gave you absolutely, incredible and beautiful evidence that he is still with you and so on. But there are so many people out there who will never have that opportunity. They will never, ever get to talk to their husbands or their children or whoever it is that they've lost, their wives or what have you. They will never have the opportunity that you had. So, your husband is their voice as well as his own voice. He is their voice too. However, if you feel that you really can't, for your career and so on and so forth, that you can't write this honestly, please don't worry about it, because I will totally understand. And I did understand. She was a woman with a career in a man's world with a good career, and she had a young daughter to take care of. So she had to survive in whatever way she did. But when she thought about the fact that she'd had that opportunity, but that there were so many other thousands of people who never would ever have that opportunity, she did the right thing. She then called me a while after that to say, oh my goodness, I was so shocked. She said the response that I was expecting from my colleagues did not come. She said the response was completely the opposite. People admired me for writing the truth. People came in to ask questions. Did that really happen? Tell me more. She said, I'm so glad I wrote it and did tell the truth. So anyway, that's that. So yeah, but it's good to know the backstory, isn't it? She doesn't put in the article how many tissues she used. And when we ran out of tissues, we ended up with toilet roll. She didn't tell those stories quite rightly. But it was the article is a lovely article, and it was very brave of her. So Elaine, if ever you listen to this, please, I'd like to say thank you again for doing what I consider to be the right thing, but doing what your husband, I know, would have wanted you to do. All right. Do we have another question?
We have lots of questions, but first we need to clear something up.
Yes.
The only email that has been sent out about the classes so far are, if you would like information about the classes, let us know.
Yes.
That people are thinking that they missed an email
No,
with the link.
No.
I don't even have the link
Okay,
yet, so when I have it, then they'll get it.
Thank you for that. Right, let's clear this up. Classes will be starting. The first class is on, we hope, if all goes well, which we don't see why it shouldn't, but you never know. So if all goes well, I should know, shouldn't I? Sorry, I couldn't resist that little joke there. If all goes well and all goes as planned, the first class will start on March 14th. We have not yet sent out the link. We will be sending out the link to everybody on our mailing list. If you are not on our mailing list, email us now, rosemary@rosemaryaltea.com, and ask us very specifically to put you on the mailing list or to send you the link, which Al will send out at some point, right, Al? In the next day or two?
Yeah.
So in the next day or two, if you are on our email list, we will just keep, we'll send you a link. We have not yet sent it out. So don't panic. You didn't miss anything. We haven't started without you. And we'll let you know all of that information very, very shortly, within the next 2 or 3 days. By the weekend, you should have the link, or at least by Monday, you should have the link. You click on that link. It will take you to Teachables, Al?
Yep. Yeah. It's through Teachable, but it's a page that'll have the information on the course.
It is a page. You'll see me. You'll hear me. There's a little video on there. And there's a little thing that you click on, if you want
to enroll in the course.
You click on it, and then you fill out the form. It's very simple and very straightforward and very easy to do. If you do struggle, if for any reason you can't get it working, email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaLtea.com, and Carolyn and I, between us, will help you through it. We'll probably be calling out to say, help, what do we do now? But we haven't sent the link out yet, so please don't panic. Let's have a question.
Comments.
Okay.
Mary says, Rosemary, your live show is magical and lovely. Also, you are gorgeous as ever. I'm thankful you're getting better.
Thank you.
Connie says to tell you that her doctor said eat raw pineapple. That helps with the coughing.
Oh, and I love pineapple. I'll go out and get one straight away. It is Florida, after all. We do get them all the time here, don't we?
Yeah. And Joanne asks,
good morning, Joanne.
What happens to people who die suddenly? I have 2 loved ones that died suddenly in the doctor's office. Do they know what happened?
Do the people who died know what happened?
Yes.
Well, again, it actually goes back to a question that was asked earlier. Do people know when we're coming? Even though we might not know, and even though it seems sudden to us here on this earth, our angels know, God knows. There is a, I firmly believe that there is a time for us to be born. I can say that with absolutely no doubt whatsoever, because I was able to predict, and did predict, have done on a few occasions, but with my grandson, my daughter pushed and pushed and pushed. And in fact, not only did I tell her the date, the day, the time, to the second, and yet he wasn't supposed to be born for at least another 10 days or something. So there is a time for us to be born, and a time when, it's so joyful for all of us, and we're going to get, the joyful news that this child is born. But our angels help us here. We don't just, come in on our own. There is also, I believe, a time for us to die. That date is known way before we ever know it. For some of us, it's known even before we're born. We have a date for when it is our time to pass. And then you've got all that in-between stuff, right? So that you're born and you die, and then you've got the in-between stuff. In that in-between stuff, there are many things that we are meant to encounter. There are many people that we're meant to meet. There are many relationships that we are meant to have, and so on. And there are many, there's a lot of stuff there that is meant. However, we do have, you think, well, what's the point then if it's all laid out for us? But it isn't all laid out for us, because the thing that we have that it, makes all that difference, that in-between time when we, between when we're born and when we pass, we have choices. Our attitude, our choices, the attitude that we have that allows us to make good choices or negative choices. And so there's a lot in between all of that stuff that is already determined. There's a lot of stuff that we do have choices about, and that our attitude will, sort of pivot us forward. We might want to talk about that tomorrow, Al, in Everything is Attitude, because because our attitude in life and our attitude towards life propels us into our next experience and our next and our next. So our attitude is everything. So our attitude determines the choices that we make. Al, let's have another question.
We have a couple comments. We have Andrea says, good morning, you're looking lovely. That top is beautiful.
Thank you.
We have Miguel.
My sparkly top. So old, I have to tell you. Anyway, go on.
We have Miguel. He says, that's interesting that you mentioned cigarette smoke. I smell it all the time. The last time I smelled it was just before I had to avoid a car accident.
Oh, interesting. So
Um,
you've probably got someone in your family, Miguel, who's a heavy smoker, who just comes and sort of comes into your field there to try to help you and to guide you. When you smell that smell, you become much more aware of your surroundings and what's around you. So that's lovely. So you've got a lovely angel there helping you with that.
And then we have Jen says, "Hi, Rosemary. You look much better now and so fresh and lovely."
Thank you.
Sarah says, "Thank you for sharing your story. I will look out for a beautiful tree." Also, thank you, Sharon. She thanks Sharon for her comment as well. And then Melinda.
Can I just say, can you let us know which tree you choose? I'd love to know. Reminds me of my daddy. Anyway, go on. Sorry, Carl. Sorry.
Last comment, Melinda says, "Thank you so much. I'm still sobbing from relief."
Oh, darling. Oh, darling. Don't. I want you to smile. You were told to smile. Even though you're sobbing, I want you to keep smiling. Because, remember, death is not the end. It's the beginning. And it's something that is really lovely and really beautiful for all of us. Is there a question in there, Al?
Yeah, so then Miguel asks, "I lost my mother in 2016, my daughter in 2018, and my uncle who has helped raise me today. And are they all together now? I miss them deeply."
He lost his uncle today?
Yeah, today, yeah.
And the question is what?
He said, "Are they all together now? I miss them deeply."
Well, I can tell you that Grey Eagle is showing me, which I didn't expect, Miguel, a vision of a beautiful young girl. Beautiful. When I say young girl, not so much a girl, but your daughter is gorgeous. What lovely skin. Just beautiful, lovely skin. Really nice skin and sparkling eyes. And he's smiling, and Grey Eagle is smiling and telling me that she really is just as beautiful on the inside as she is on the outside. I mean, isn't that a testament? You get that from my spirit guide, and I've never heard him say that before in such a way. So that's lovely. And are they all together, you want to know? And absolutely yes. They welcomed him with open arms. So I'm assuming they mean your uncle. You should never, ever assume. So I'm not sure, but I'm just telling you what I'm hearing. They've welcomed him with open arms, and there you go. I do hope that helps you, Miguel. I know that when we lose a child, it is without a doubt the worst kind of loss. So my heart does go out to you. And I do hope that watching this show and getting to ask your questions has helped you a little bit and given you a little bit of relief, as I hope for all of you out there who are listening. Let's have another question, Karen. We've got time for another couple of questions, I think.
Already, Dean joins us.
Hi, darling. Guess what I was doing the other day? I was sorting out some little decorations for the cake, which they're all ready to send to you. And I want to look for one more thing for you. But there you are. Do you have a question, Dean?
Well, he says that, first of all, he says, "I take my soul signs wherever I go.
Oh, bless you.
My family is always talking about them."
Lovely.
And do we perceive senses like hunger, pain, taste, smells, having to urinate, etc. in the spirit world?
Don't think so. I love the last bit. Where did that having to urinate come from, really? In other words, do we have bodily functions? You could have put it in a different way. Do we have bodily functions? No, not in the same way. We do have pain, I have to tell you, but it is much more the emotional kind. If you see someone you love here on the earth plane who is in pain or distressed, then of course we suffer that in an emotional sense, because nobody, I know that, when my daughter is suffering emotionally or physically, my emotional pain level soars for her. And it's the same whether we're in the spirit world or whether we're here on this earth. So I hope that answers the question. We will be sending you the stuff very soon. Right. Let's, Al, another question.
Yeah, Magdalena.
Good morning, Magdalena.
My paternal grandmother died before I was born. Her best friend became our grandmother. She died when I was a little girl. I sense her presence a lot around me. Is she one of my guardian angels?
I was going to just say probably or what have you, but actually I feel Grey Eagle's hand on my shoulder, and it's important for you to know that you have one of these lovely women on either side of you. So they are both your guardian angels, Magdalena. Hope that helps you. Carolyn, I forgot who you were for a minute. Who are you? Yes.
Nettie wrote in this week and had a great question. Aloha. I was wondering, a basic premise in the Bible contends that the only way to heaven is through Christ. Do you encounter people in heaven who have other beliefs or faiths, such as Buddhists?
Brilliant question. Yes. And I have so many stories I could tell you, which we'll save for another time because I'd like to get another couple of questions in if we can. But yes, the Bible tells us the only way to heaven is through Christ. Remember, that Bible was written by Christian men who probably had no idea of the existence of Buddhists. Remember how many centuries ago we didn't know of the rest of the world. In our own little worlds, we had no idea that, you know, the rest of the world was so huge and so, you know, so diverse. And so I like to think of the quote in the Bible, and I shan't read it verbatim, but it's basically, there are many mansions in God's house, and there are many roads which lead to God's house. So many roads, many paths, to me indicates many different religions. Many mansions in God's house indicates, again, many different ways to get there, many different belief systems. But, you know, God is that all-encompassing, that universal energy that is out there, which encompasses all of us, and it is the light. So great question, Nettie. Al?
Carol, did you ask the question from Chris? I didn't hear.
No.
Okay, so Chris has a question.
Good morning, Chris.
How do our choices play out, i.e. karma, quickly or even into a next life? Is it the impact of the choices that decides? Example, Hitler's impact versus me saying a mean word.
I'm not sure I understand the question, actually. Sorry. Could you do it again for me, Alan?
Yeah.
Sorry.
How do our choices play out, i.e. karma, quickly or even into a next life? Is it the impact?
Oh, I see. Well, our choices will instantly impact us, whether we will know or become aware or are aware. Depends on how sensitive and aware we are. So whether or not we are aware or become aware, or whether we have to wait until we pass and then all of a sudden somebody says, you know, when you made that choice for so and so, this is the result of that. So I think, you know, our choices impact us immediately, but we may not know that. I think I've answered that question right. I hope so, Chris. Hope you understand it. Carolyn.
Just so you know, we're
I know.
all righty. Mary wrote in and asked, my brother died in 2012 at age 60. I want to know why he lived so alone and didn't visit his sisters, or why he was so alone all of the time. Strangely enough, when he died, I was in his city, not mine. He waited for me to look after him after he died.
I don't know the answer to that. And it's a very, I'm sorry, Mary, I'd love to sort of give you a quick fix here, but it's way too long and complicated a question for me to answer. Al, do you have a question that might require a quick answer? Because I know that we're running out of time a little bit here.
We have one last question from Umi. From Umi, UMI, it looks like, Umi. I was a 24/7.
We've heard from Umi before.
I was a 24/7 live-in caregiver for the most lovely 99-year-old woman named Mary. She passed last week, and in the moment she did, The lights on the washer went beeping, and it lit up, up and has been since on, I guess. Is that Mary?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, she's probably so. Hey, look what I can do now. How lovely, and how lovely for you to get that indication, that message that she's safe and well, because I think that's what she's trying to let you. That's what she's trying to tell you, and that is a lovely way to end this morning. It's gone so fast this morning, so thank you, all of you, for your questions. To all of you out there who want to know more about the classes, email me, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. Ask to be put on the mailing list if you are not already. Or simply ask, if you don't want to be put on the mailing list, just simply ask, could you have the link to the lessons? That link, click on it, it will send you to a page. That page will have, you know, two choices. I think the one is to sign up, and the other for the classes, and the other one is, you know, you can click on and listen to me talking to you, and sort of giving you a little heads up about what the classes are going to be like, a little taste of what the class is going to be like, and then you do all that stuff. If you struggle with it, if you for any reason can't work it out, email me again, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com, and say, help, we can't do this, we want to do it but we can't get in, or whatever reason, you know. But you need to do it now or as soon as you can, because you know, we have deadlines. As I've said, our first class is March 14th. I keep saying April. March 14th. And you do have to sign up before then and complete all the paperwork. Otherwise, you won't get into the lesson, because only those people who've signed up, who've paid, who have done all the stuff that they need to do will be allowed into the classes. So if you are interested, and if you'd like to do that, or you'd like to know more about it before you decide, email us, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. In the meantime, thank you all. You've been lovely. We've had some great questions this morning. I'd like to say thank you to Carolyn and Al. Specifically, I know it's hard for you sometimes because you've got taking your kids to school and doing all that other stuff in between doing this. So thank you very much too. I think you're both doing a fabulous, fabulous job. In the meantime, until I see you all again next week, remember that we do have our Everything is Attitude tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. Standard Eastern Time. We do that on Facebook, right, Al?
Correct.
And so, you know, click on Facebook, or if you can't, or you want to know more. I know my friend Mary Lou can never get on. She's always frustrated because she can never get on the live show. So again, you can email alpasano.com, or you can email info@everythingisattitude.com. I couldn't remember it. info@everythingisattitude.com, or you can email us, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com. And we're going to try to have a guest on tomorrow, but if not, we're going to be talking about how attitude impacts all that in-between time from being born to dying. We're going to be talking about all of that stuff and what we can do with it, and how it impacts us, and how it affects us, and how it allows us to have choices, even if those choices are slim ones. We're going to be talking about that tomorrow, 6 p.m. Standard Eastern Time on Facebook. Everything is Attitude. So until I see you again, thank you, everybody. Kachuro has been coming and going this morning. He's in the corner in his favorite spot right now, sound asleep. So until I see you again, to all of you, it won't be Valentine's Day next week before we air the show, will it? I'm not sure when it is. But if it is, if I don't talk to you again before Valentine's Day, have a happy Valentine's Day. Remember my grandson's birthday. Not that you should remember, my grandson's birthday is on the 12th.
The show will be on Valentine's Day, Rosemary.
Pardon?
Our show, the Thursday show, will be on Valentine's Day.
Oh, I should wear red. And probably wear a big heart or something for my grandson. We'll see. We'll see. So, gosh. So my grandson's birthday is on Tuesday. I better get cracking. All right, then. Until I see you next week on Valentine's Day. Hoo-hoo. Have a very, 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 and yes, one more very blessed day. And we find that little arrow. There it is.